Hey guys, Jared Weggeland here from Focus Group Florida, Keller Williams Realty, your one-stop shop for real estate, remodeling, and custom home building. All right, so this week, the headlines: the listings versus the pendings are down, meaning we had more homes come off the market than in the market. We had the sales price versus the list price down. We had days on the market up slightly, and the year-over-year price increase, equity increase, is about neutral. So let's dig into the numbers. All right, so for this week, for our closed deals in Lakeland, only 83.9, about 84% of the new pendings were replaced by homes put on the market. So that was a dip in inventory for this snapshot. And for Polk County, we were at only 90%. So about 10% less homes came on the market than were removed from the market, which is a market shrinkage, which is not the direction we want to go, but that's where we are. Let's go down to the individual levels. So we had a couple sparks in there that were higher. So 33803, 33809, 33813, and 33815 were all above 100%. So more listings came on the market than were removed. And on the other end of the spectrum, 33811, only 36.8% of the homes that were removed were replaced. That was a huge trough. I'll put the graph in later so you can see, especially on, and when I say that, because I put it on other platforms, on the Facebook one, so just look out for those. The average for this week was a 3-bedroom, 2-bath that sold at 1,661 square feet. The average list price per square foot was 191.13, with the average sold price of 184.47. We've got the average list price at 315,888 with an average closed price of 305,743. We had average sold to list price of 96%, so we see a 4% difference between asking and what was obtained by the sellers. And the average days on the market went up from 27 to 30, so a little bit of a jump there, not quite half a week. If we look at the year-over-year price change for this particular week compared to last week, it was up under 1%, so 0.81, so that is flat. Compared, last week was 12%, the week before that was 23%, the week before that was 30%. So we'll see what next week brings in our trend lines. As I mentioned, average days on the market went up about 3 days over the last several weeks. This week was 30, last week 27, the week before 23 and 26. So it's raised about half a week over the past month. In our pending sales, you will see on the graph a V-shaped recovery. You've probably heard that phrase before, but a few weeks ago we were way down to 48 sales for Lakeland, and this week we were at 112. And a few weeks ago we were only 186 sales for the county. We're at 386. We're almost back to the 400 level, so it really did a dink and back up, which is fantastic and amazing and fabulous. We know there are still people who need to buy homes, and it's always going to be better to own. And I was talking to some people recently about doing a comparison. People who rent, we'll call it person one, person two, person three. Person one rents $20,000 a year, for example. Person two bought a house at 3% interest rate 6 to 8 months ago. Person three bought it today's interest rates. You look 5 years in the future, what happened? Person one, they paid $100,000 in rent, zero equity, zero personal wealth in regards to real estate. Person number two, let's say you've got $100,000 in equity now. Okay, person number three, you have $100,000 in equity minus the little extra you pay in your monthly payment. So let's say it's an extra $20,000 you paid over 5 years, for example. You still have $80,000 in equity compared to renting or doing that. So it makes sense to purchase and get on the train of growing your equity over time. Anyway, so that's all I need to say about that. But pending sales were great this week. Our cancellations, withdrawals, and expireds. So the cancellations were about the same as last week, 18. Our withdrawn was only down to 1, and our expires down to 4. So those two decreased. Going back to our housing supply, the 10-second review, we need 6 months of supply or 180 days. In January, we actually had 101 days of supply, which was about 55% of the needed homes, a 45% shortage. Today, we've got 77 days of homes, 42% of the needed homes, meaning for every 42 homes for sale, there's 100 buyers, aka seller's market. That means we have 58%, almost 60% shortage in housing in Lakeland still. It's a pretty big number, guys. So we're not going to see the effects of some of these areas that have way more inventory than we do. We have such a shortage and so many people wanting to come and live in free and beautiful Florida, where we are in the central area. All right, so for our donation goal, thank you so much, everyone. A percentage of our professional fees gets divvied out to local organizations and schools and churches and you name it. So we're up to $47,477 out of our $60,000 goal. Awesome. Thank you very much. We couldn't help the community without you, so we appreciate you. All right, so active listings, you'll see on the chart, we've got a pretty steady graph of growth. Now, something was interesting. We're not quite there, but in Lakeland, beginning of the year, we had 246, and right now we've got 729. So not, let's see, what is that? Not quite 3 times as many listings. It's a pretty big number. So that would be, let's see, 486. Oh, it's really close to 3 times the amount of listings. It's a pretty big number. So that's where we are. So from the beginning of the year to now, we have way more listings than we had, but we still have a shortage to get to equilibrium. So that's why you're feeling what you're feeling, and you're noticing on the seller side, instead of taking a day or 2 or a week, it may take 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4. I've seen 40 days, 45 days. Very, very typical. Don't worry about it. There's people who still need houses. So if your house is clean, there's no projects, nothing's broken, it's move-in ready, it's going to move because there's still people who need great houses. On the price drop, same thing. We've got a steady graph as far as that goes. For Lakeland, we're at 542 of the listings this week. So if you just do it, round up, if we have 540, 550 listings, price drop out of 729, 730, that's a pretty big number. So more than 5/7 of what's out there are adjusting their prices so they can move these houses. So we don't anticipate depreciation by any stretch of the imagination, like in 05 when people were buying homes for 300 and then not very much later it was 150,000, half the price. We're not expecting that at all, just because of our local economics, the shortage that we have and the massive demand that we have. It's just not what's going to happen. But we do anticipate price growth to be slower than it was. I think at our peak we had 30s and 40% year over year, which is a huge number, and the average over the long term is 4%. So we're going to get back a bit more back to normal. Okay, so that's it for now, guys. We'll put other links down there. You'll see all the stuff. Big shout out to our veterans. Veterans Day on Friday. We have tons of veterans in my family, both in the English Army and in the American military services. Thank you, everybody, for those who have served, for those who are serving, and for their supports, for their families and friends who support them. We salute you. All right, guys, have a great week. I'll talk to you soon. Jared signing off. Bye-bye for now.